Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Oddballs. Today we are going to be talking about handball. So this is the European handball as opposed to Gaelic handball or American handball, which are slightly different sports. But Wes, what, if anything, do you know about handball?
Yeah, so it's a foul in football.
That is true. Beyond that?
Other than that, not much.
Not much, okay.
I think I have picked up bits of knowledge about it through football clubs. I think there's some affiliations with like Barcelona, Real Madrid, PSG. I think that these football clubs often have handball clubs too.
Yes, they do. So Real Madrid doesn't anymore. They used to.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of the European clubs especially are multi-sport clubs. So they'll have basketball, football predominantly, and then sometimes we'll have handball. It's popular in sort of maybe... It's often not popular in the major cities, in the capital cities of Europe. It's often, so Barcelona's a big one. The German clubs are sort of not football clubs that I've ever really heard of. Paris Saint-Germain do play handball. But yeah, I think this is one of the more mainstream sports that we're going to cover. Okay. It's obviously not mainstream in sort of England, in the English-speaking world, I think. But it is very popular in continental Europe. And for that reason, it's also in the Olympics. So it is one of the few sports that will cover that is an Olympic sport.
Ah, okay. I think I have some vague recollection of flipping through the Summer Olympics at some Olympic time and spotting a game or two of handball, but never really understanding what's going on or how it works and who's even half decent at it.
Yeah. I actually went on a rugby tour to Spain a few months ago and saw a handball court.
Did you?
Which was the first time I ever saw that, yeah.
All right.
Quite exciting.
That's pretty interesting. Was that also at like a multi-sport type club?
Well, yeah, it was at the rugby club we were playing at, and they had a football pitch, and we played on the football pitch, obviously.
Okay.
So yeah, big multi-sport club. But yeah, I think sort of intuitively you could imagine handball is football, but with your hands. So it's
cleverly named.
Yeah. And again, very simply, the aim of the game is to score more goals than the opposition. The same as football. A goal's worth 1 point. There's no funny scoring thing. The one difference from football is it's quite a high-scoring game. So typically, you'll get 20 to 30 goals per team in a game.
Okay.
At the highest level. Sometimes a little bit more into the 40s, sometimes even, and sometimes sort of in the teens.
Okay, a game being roughly how long?
So it is, you have 2 30-minute halves. So get a little bit shorter than football, but it is it's like a stop clock. So when the ball goes out, it's stopped. But it's a pretty end-to-end game, so there's not too much.
Okay, so that's quite a lot of action in 60 minutes of play. I mean, if you're scoring 30, 40 points, it's almost per side, I imagine.
Almost a goal, yeah.
So it's almost a goal a minute.
Yeah, pretty much. Typically it will be played indoors, so in a little indoor arena. Often, like the bigger clubs, the stadiums are about sort of 10,000 people. For the Olympic venues, maybe a little bit more, maybe into sort of 20s.
Okay, so not exactly niche.
No.
In the right areas.
In the right areas, it's incredibly popular. So it's a similar size pitch to what you would imagine as like a five-a-side football pitch.
Okay.
So it's 40 meters long, 20 meters wide. It's a 7-a-side game. And the goals also are quite similar to like a five-a-side. Well, it depends what five-a-side you're actually playing, because sometimes they're very short. These are 2 meters tall, 3 meters wide, very similar to a hockey goal.
Okay,
I know you played hockey.
Same height as me.
Yeah. Same height as you,
and
2
meters. A bit wider than me.
Yeah. I think it might be closer to your width than your height, Wes.
That does sound pretty similar to a hockey goal.
Obviously we're talking about field hockey, the sort of played in cross, not ice hockey.
Yeah.
And then there's a D around the goal.
Very hockey-esque again.
And so the opposite of hockey now, you can only score from outside that D.
Oh,
so that runs about 6 meters away from the goal. Obviously, because the goal is wide, it becomes a D. There's sort of 2 arcs and then a line there. And you're not allowed to handle the ball inside that zone at all. So never mind, it's not even just scoring. You're not allowed to touch the ball inside. You're not even allowed to be inside the D unless you're the goalkeeper. So the attackers and the defenders are forbidden from being in the D? Yeah. Well, not quite forbidden, but they...
Okay, sorry.
If they fall into the D or jump into the D, which is quite common, then they have to get out as soon as possible. But it's not a foul to just be in the D, but it is a foul to stay in the D longer than you can control, basically.
Okay. You can't affect the game.
You can't affect the game from
inside the D.
No, but often you will jump up in the air inside the D to make a shot or a pass. So there's some incredible moves that you'll see where one guy's jumping into the D, makes a pass to someone else jumping into the D, who will then shoot and score.
Okay. So that's fine. So it's when you become grounded in the
Yes.
D. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Okay. So you'll jump in to get yourself a bit closer to
Yes.
the goal.
Yeah.
Throw it or pass it to someone else who's doing something, defying gravity somehow.
Exactly.
And then score a wicked goal.
Or have it saved. But yeah. The ball size is something that I think surprised me.
Okay, I'll refrain my comments. Yes, tell me about the ball size.
Okay. So it's 58 centimeters in circumference. So that is relatively close to a football. Football, a soccer ball again, 70 centimeters. I always thought it much closer to like maybe a grapefruit size. So something that you could easily hold in your hand.
Oh yeah, that's pretty. So 58 centimeters in
circumference, so that all the way around the ball.
What's its diameter? I can't really visualize the circumference of a ball.
I mean, I can't do the maths in my head.
They teach that in the second year of Maths Masters.
Exactly. But I mean, almost similar to a human head in size. It's a little bit of a grim comparison, but I mean, to be able to palm a ball that big is...
It says diameter of 18.5 to 19 centimeters for men.
I mean, that's big. That's bigger than your...
Okay, bigger than one of those half rulers.
Yeah.
With a bit. Yeah, that is bigger than I would have expected. You're right.
It's very big.
It seems bigger than like what a dodgeball would be. Or, those foam dodgeballs you can play with, or the arcadey things you go to.
Yeah.
It seems a bit bigger than that.
Yeah, it does seem a bit, but I think maybe like a water polo ball is a good comparison.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's difficult to palm, but I mean, you're going to try to because that gives you a lot more control over the ball, obviously.
But yeah, I would have imagined it's a bit smaller than that.
Yeah. And then we spoke earlier about the other games called handball. So we're focusing on European handball, sometimes called Olympic handball. But obviously we are living in Ireland now. We have heard of at least Gaelic handball. So
yes.
It's one of the GAA sports, one of the Irish sports. And that is more like squash. So played with your hands. And there's actually quite an interesting link with Basque pelota, which maybe we will explore next week.
Okay.
Because that is our sport for next week. But I don't want to get too much into other variants.
You say that the interesting link is between the Gaelic handball and Basque pelota.
Basque pelota, yeah.
Basque from the Basque region.
From the Basque country, yeah. So that's northern Spain, southern France.
Okay, interesting. I'd wonder how that connection would have come about. So
I think it was said that there were big trade links between the Basque country and Galway on the west coast of Ireland. And the GAA, which is again the sort of organisation that runs the Irish sports, one of their sort of spokespeople said there's almost certainly a connection between it, given the trading links of the time.
Interesting. Okay, keen to learn about that a bit next week then.
Anyway, let's continue with handball.
If we must.
Similarly, again, so it's a little bit like basketball in gameplay, that you can pass, you can shoot, you can dribble. You have to dribble every 3 steps you take. You can't just run with the ball.
Dribbling meaning bouncing it on the ground.
Yeah.
Is the ball is the ball quite bouncy? Like, is it like basketball?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think probably more bouncy than a soccer ball. But I mean, still, even if you had a soccer ball and bounced it, it would be fine. So again, it's a little bit like Gaelic football as well. You have to bounce it every 3 steps. And yeah, you only allowed to use your hands. You're not allowed to use your feet. The exception to that is goalkeepers, who can use their feet, but only inside the zone is what that D is called.
The zone.
And again, goalkeepers can come out of the zone or come into the zone, but once they're out of the zone, they can't use their feet. They're treated like an outfield player.
They're a fly goalkeeper.
They're a fly goalkeeper,
we would have played. Yeah.
And importantly, the goalkeeper can't cross that threshold, come into or out of the zone when they have possession of the ball.
So you can't run it out?
No. You'd have to pass and then come out, someone else pass back to you. And there are a lot of reasons to do that, particularly if you are down by a goal or 2 later on in the game.
I imagine the numerical advantage.
Exactly.
Yeah. At the risk of a big counter attack, and you don't have a goalkeeper.
Exactly. So, in terms of positions, I think we'll start with every formation. There are a few different formations, but to keep it pretty simple, it would be pretty similar to the front six players of 4-3-3 in football. So you would have wingers on either side at the top. You would have a centre forward, a striker, we would think of. So that's called a pivot or a line player. And then you almost have three midfielders behind them. So those are called the midfielders, are called the centre back, right back, left back. The wingers, obviously the wingers, and then the pivot is the pivot, the line player. So typically wingers, you'll have slightly smaller guys, be faster, nimble, agile. They're trying to create space in what's normally quite a congested backline. And typically you would want to be on your weak. So if you are left-handed, you want to be on the right. Right-handed, you want to be on the left because you're coming in to have a shot.
The Iron Robin.
Exactly, the Iron Robin, the Lionel Messi, although he does play centrally as well.
Yeah.
Mohamed Salah. I think, potentially that tactic in football started from the.
I guess it's just a good old-fashioned cutback, isn't it?
Exactly.
Okay. So you have your three forwards and your three defenders.
Yes.
You said that it can be quite an overloaded back line. Why would that be the case?
So typically in defense, you'll have the most common formation in defense is called a 6-0. So that's all six players sitting on the D, basically. The defenders sitting on the D. They are trying to
I see.
Just prevent shots.
The formation you described is more a formation in attack.
This isn't purely an attacking formation. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's very different, like the phases of the game, similarly to how you think about the phases of the game in football, in possession, out of possession, and transition, are quite similar. Transition's absolute chaos. A lot of goals are scored in transition, so that's sort of counter-attack. But in possession and out of possession are quite sort of set, and you'll try and work a space quite methodically. And that's done by using the pivot players, typically quite a big, stronger, almost like a target man in football. So he has to sort of fight for space, try and create space in the middle there. Typically will be quite a tall player, this pivot and strong. Sometimes, again, depending on game state, stuff like that, etc., you'll have two pivots and then only two defenders. But then these defenders, particularly the centre-back, will be a bit like a CDM in football, so trying to like dictate play, trying to create gaps through sort of making a pass and drawing someone out of possession a little bit and then making another pass that exploits that gap.
Okay.
And
so
then
kind of forcing the issue, creating space
manipulating.
Somehow. Okay.
And then right and left back are relatively versatile players. If they can shoot well from distance, that's a big plus. But typically they're going to be a little bit bigger than the wingers. Again, left-handers on the right, right-handers on the left. If possible, you don't always have the same number of left and right-hand players. But they're going to be pretty good, sort of almost like midfielders, like all-rounders. They're going to have good passing skills, but they're not going to be the playmaker like the centre-back is. They're going to be relatively big, also because height is such a premium in defence. And then goalkeepers, again, pretty big guys. There's quite a big premium on size in this sport. But the big thing...
In position?
No, both. More so in defence.
No, I'm saying in a particular position, because you said the wingers can be quite small and nimble.
Yeah. So the wingers are probably the exception to the rule. They're also big wingers, but I mean it's about the pace and agility, which typically you're going to find in smaller players. Goalkeepers, again, a big fast reactions is a big thing because these balls are coming, faster than a soccer ball would and from closer. Sure. So reactions is a big thing, and they have this sticky substance that they use on handballs that allows you to grip it better. And they can using that, they can almost like add funny spin and do some pretty crazy things to the ball. So the goalkeeper's job is very difficult.
Almost like a pitcher in baseball.
Yeah, I suppose.
But they famously have had, not scandals, but issues through years and years of baseball with people getting like tar onto the ball to make it, to give it a bit more action using sweat. It's similar to cricket, like doctoring the ball.
Yeah.
But to get a little bit of action. So I guess having that stickiness gets you to create a little bit of movement in the air somehow.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. But it also enables you to, as you said, the ball's quite big. It enables you to grip it better.
I guess. So do they apply this sticky substance like at halftime, or
Yeah.
do they need to top it up during the game?
I think so. I haven't. There's not too much official stuff about this, but yeah, I mean, you see, and it often goes like black because it picks up all the dirt and stuff off the floor.
The ball goes black.
Yeah. Well, the sticky stuff that's connected
course,
to
yeah,
you see them peeling it off after a game or after practice session.
That's pretty grim.
Yeah.
Is it quite a? So we discussed earlier. There's a pretty high scoring game.
Yeah.
A point a minute. Is it much like basketball where most of your possessions turn into a point, or is it quite a high kind of like turnover game?
So it's quite a high turnover game because so a lot of points will come from these counterattacks. And because I suppose it is a little bit like basketball where you expect it to score, so teams will sort of take their time once they have the ball, but that would lead to longer periods of time with like in possession, so longer periods of time between goals if there's sort of quite structured in possession play and out of possession play. The one thing a little bit similar to basketball again, there's not an official shot clock like basketball, but the referee can call for essentially slow play because it's so difficult to get the ball off a team who...
Okay, that was my next question. Yeah. How do you actually turn it over?
So yeah, the ref can call for... I've forgotten exactly what it's called, but it's called slow play. And the team would then have to take a shot within, I think it's 4 passes.
Oh.
And that the sort of slow play thing will be reset if like a save is made or the ball goes out or whatever, but not if it's just a deflection. If it sort of hits the post and comes back, again, they have to take a shot immediately, basically. But that is to prevent essentially sort of wasting time. If you up by lots, obviously the incentive is for you not to have very quick, like rapid turnovers and transitions and stuff. You're going to want to take a little bit more time. But the referee will then call for slow play, and you have to get on with it.
Okay. That seems sensible.
Yeah.
But it's entirely at the referee's discretion.
It is at the referee's discretion, but there's sort of guidelines. I think it's normally 30 seconds, and they'll call it also. But it depends on the context of the game, and I think they see if someone's doing it intentionally, they might do it a bit quicker. So we spoke a little bit about the defensive formations. It's not that important, but so typically you can have the 6-0, sometimes 5-1.
So 6-0 is parking the bus.
It is parking the bus. It's the most common formation, particularly if you've got...
Jose Mourinho would love the sport.
Yeah. Particularly if you've got bigger players, it's just a wall of tall guys that you're really going to struggle to get it past. If you maybe got some smaller players, maybe a winger will it's called a 5-1. You just have one guy who's sort of up, trying to cause a little bit of chaos. Again, if you are losing, potentially it's a better strategy to sort of harry the attack, maybe cause a mistake. Also, then if they drop the ball, then you've got a guy there for a counter. So yeah, depending on the context of the game, depending on how the defense is coached, etc., there are a few different ways. But broadly, it's 6-1, 6-0, 5-1, 4-2 is pretty aggressive, and then there's a 3-2-1, which is quite like almost man-to-man pressing, which is very unusual in handball. The one thing I didn't speak about we spoke about it briefly in the attacking sense, is that, so we said sometimes there'll be two pivot players, and then you would sacrifice one of your backs to go be a pivot, so that's almost like a 4-4-2 in football. And the third thing that can happen, we spoke about if your goalkeeper can come up, and then they'll typically make again the sort of midfield 3, and with the two pivot players. And that you can sub your goalkeeper off for an outfield player. So you can just have...
Can that outfield player then, in defence, throw himself in the way of the ball in the goals?
Yes, so that would be the goalkeeper.
Here's the goalkeeper. Yeah. You've just subbed on a non-goalkeeper.
Yes.
As a goalkeeper.
So it's similar. I think Jose Mourinho has spoken about it as well, saying he thinks one of the next tactical evolutions in football will be teams that are losing by a goal putting on an extra outfield player in place of their keeper. Particularly in a knockout game, I would think, rather than league play.
I mean, the goal's a bit bigger. So, I mean, you're more susceptible in soccer to just a long-range belter of a shot that the guy might not be able to get to.
Yeah, but losing by 2 goals is the same as losing by 1 goal. So why not give it a go?
I guess
anyway, it hasn't happened yet, but that's just been theorised that.
Jose Mourinho is also currently coaching Fenerbahce.
Yeah, so it's not exactly at the top of the game. But Turkey is the type of place where you would expect to see
Yes,
something crazy like that.
Jose Mourinho trying to become the Rassi Erasmus of football.
Yeah. In terms of the history of the game, so it's been played across Europe in the sort of 1800s, early 1900s, but it was only formalized really at the beginning of the 1900s, and that was with sort of representatives from the big countries in the foundation of the game: Germany, Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. So northern
kind
Europe,
of a northern European sport.
Well, we'll get to that now. It's now been...
Well, it was.
It certainly was, yeah.
So it originated.
Denmark is still very strong. They are, I believe, they're the reigning Olympic winners. So the Olympics is the pinnacle, really, of the sport. The three big tournaments are the World Championships, the European Championships, and the Olympics. And it's kind of in that order. Worlds are the least significant, then European, and the Olympics are...
Okay, well, that shows you the strength of the European scene.
Exactly.
If it's more prestigious than the World Championship.
Yeah, so it's similar to, we spoke about Kabaddi 2 weeks ago, and that's the pinnacle of the game. There is the Asian Games, again, because the World Championship is there's not anyone outside of Asia who's competitive in the same way in handball. It's not really anyone outside of Europe who's competitive. Qatar have done decently. I think they came third at a World Championship recently, and they've done really well in the Asian Championships. But really the main competitive teams are from Europe. The Olympics, so it was part of the 1936 Olympics, which was infamously held in Nazi Germany, and Germany won that. And after that, it didn't take place again until 1972 for the men and 1976 for the women.
Why would that? What was the reason for the absence?
Well, I think it was only included because it was a popular game in Germany.
Oh, that was its first inclusion.
Yes.
It was in 36.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think potentially it was tarred by association, obviously, with the Nazi Olympics. But
okay,
that's purely...
so I need to be careful what I say here, but it was excluded afterwards.
Yes.
Likely because of its association with Nazi Germany.
No, well, I think it was maybe only initially included just because it was like a German favourite sport. I don't think it was scheduled to take place at the 1940 Olympics, which obviously didn't happen.
I get that, but that's not really the point I'm trying to make. So is Nazi Germany to handball what Reagan is to breakdancing at the Olympics?
Oh, hopefully. So, yeah, in terms of the sort of organisation of the sport, there's the big ones, the International Handball Federation, and then they sort of continental federations that organise their continental ones. There was a little bit of a split. So there used to be a Pan-American federation. It's now split into South and North America. But yeah, other than that, it's a very similarly structured sport to football. So it's pretty easy to sort of get into the idea of how it works. It's typically a winter sport. The season will start in sort of August. It ends in June. It's quite a big club sport, so there's a lot of domestic league action, and there's continental competitions between teams. So there's a Champions League. Okay.
So when you say there's a season, map out for me here. I'm a top-level professional handball player. What am I playing when?
Okay.
And at what kind of levels?
So typically you'll be playing in your domestic league. So depending where you are, Germany's a big league. So you'll be playing throughout the season for your club. You'll be playing the other German teams,
And how many games would they play in a season?
So I know the Champions League it's a bit bigger than the Football Champions League. They're big groups of about 8 teams or so, and they're playing them home and away, so sort of 14 games there, and then there's the knockouts. So I think they'll play more than footballers, but I wouldn't say more than 100 games.
Okay. I imagine it's not as taxing a sport as, like, you don't need such a long turnaround between games necessarily. You could probably play every 3 days.
Yeah, similar to basketball, it's not as taxing as football. So basketball, they'll often play games in a few days. I know that the the Champions League semi-finals and finals take place on like Friday and then Saturday, or Friday and then Sunday. So it's a day or two in between, which was never be the case
so
in
pretty much no
football.
turnaround.
No. But so you would play your domestic league at the same time. If you qualified, you would play in the Champions League, or there's like a Europa League equivalent, a second tier European thing. There are only 2 teams per country in the Champions League. For the bigger countries, and then smaller countries will often only have 1. Interestingly, Barcelona are the most successful club in Champions League history. They've won 12 Champions Leagues, but they're the only Spanish team. The Spanish league is relatively weak, other than Barcelona.
So they're the only Spanish representative in the Champions League. So they're the most successful team in the Champions League, but the league is weak.
Yes. Other than Barcelona, obviously. Germany is quite strong. The Champions League winners for 2025 are from Germany, SC Magdeburg. They also have SC Magdeburg and a second team, whose name I can't remember off the top of my head, have won it 5 times each. And then I think it's a team from Kiel have won it 4 times as well, which is a city, maybe you've heard of it. They also have a football team that is not great. I think they play in like the Zweite Bundesliga, which is the second division. VfL Gummersbach are the other German
rolls
team.
off the tongue.
Exactly. And then they'll typically have a break in December and January. So December, I think, is the women's international tournaments are played then, and January is the men's international tournaments, and that will be either the European Championships or the World Championships. So the World Championship is every 4 years, sort of in between Olympics, and the European Championships are every 2 years, like the other years. So every year there will be a big international tournament, whether it's continental, world, or Olympics.
Okay. So as an example, these might be incorrect, but the Europeans championships would be like on odd years.
Yeah.
And then every even year you'd either have the World Championship or an Olympics.
Exactly.
Okay. I know you'd given us a bit of a run through the successful club sides, and you said that Germany is a big league, and it maybe the sport predominantly originated in Northern Europe. Barca's good, but Spain isn't good. How does that all translate into the international handball scene? So
Spain and Germany are not bad. They've won sort of 2 worlds and 2 European championships each. But neither of them have won. Well, I was going to say neither of them have won the Olympics. Germany obviously won the original 1936 one, and East Germany actually won an Olympics when they were split, and West Germany won a world championship as well. But in terms of the most recent Olympics, have been split really between Denmark and France. So Denmark is one of those traditional powerhouses from Northern Europe, but France won 2008, 2012, and 2020. Olympics. Denmark won 2016 and 2024. So, since 2008, it's just been those 2 countries. This is on the men's side. The women's side is very similar. It's the Northern European countries. Denmark's big. France is really good. Sweden have won the European Championship the most times, but haven't won since 2001. So Sweden and Norway, I think, have fallen off a little bit recently. Yugoslavia were really strong when they were a country. Croatia actually also have won the Olympics twice. And then obviously Yugoslavia, they were part of Yugoslavia. They won it. The Soviet Union was pretty strong. They won it just before the breakup of the Soviet Union, so I think 88. And then 1992, they competed as, I think it was called like the Unified Team or something. But it was the countries that used to make up the Soviet Union competed as one team. And they won it there. And then Russia won the Olympics in 2000 as well. So strong, there certainly was a very strong Russian team, less so now. And in terms of other countries, there's some interesting facts. So Qatar have been really successful recently in the Asian side and finished 3rd in the World Championship, I think I mentioned earlier. South Korea used to be the powerhouse of handball before Qatar became really good.
When you say the powerhouse of handball?
In Asia. I think they won the first 5 or 6 Asian.
I see.
Asian
I was going to
games
say, they're not winning Olympics.
No. And I think in terms of African handball, it's pretty big in Northern Africa, so around the Mediterranean, on the men's side. So we spoke a little bit about some of the multi-sport clubs. Do you know who the most successful African handball team are?
I know very few African sports teams towards the north of the continent, and I'm going to hazard a guess that it is Zamalek FC.
Zamalek?
Is it?
FC. Well, Zamalek SC. In this case, there's 12 Champions Leagues, 12 African Champions League. Al Ahly, another famous name from Egyptian football.
Okay.
And Esperance from Tunisia, if you've heard of them.
These are all guys who often will play like Mamelodi Sundowns in the African Champions League.
Yeah. And I think that potentially the most dominant, we spoke about South Korea formerly being a powerhouse. The real powerhouse of any continental handball is the Angola women's team. This is frankly ridiculous. So Angolan teams have won 16 out of the last 19 African Champions Leagues. This is just split between
club teams.
Club teams, yeah. Okay. So this is Primeira de Agosto and Petro Luanda. They're also football teams. If you really pay attention to African football, you might have heard of them. Sorry, they have won 16 of the 19. Angola as a country have won 16 out of the 19 women's African championships. So the country's won 16 out of 19. The two Angolan teams have won the Champions League every single year since 1997.
Since 97?
Yes. So that is almost our entire lifetime.
They're on a 28-year streak of dominance between these two teams.
Yeah. I think, so obviously 2020, I think it was cancelled because of COVID.
Okay.
But other than that, 27 consecutive.
That is extraordinary.
Yeah, that is, so yeah, the Angolan women's
do we have any unlucky losers, like teams that seem to be regularly making it to the finals and then maybe get knocked out, or it's just them in the finals every year kind of thing?
So it's often the Northern African teams. So I know in the men's side, it's Egypt, Algeria, and it must be Tunisia, that have really strong. They're always the winners and runners-up. In the women's, I suspect it's very similar, obviously with Angola winning the whole time, and other North African teams then coming second. I know in terms of unlucky losers, we spoke about it as well, Spain have made a real habit of coming third in European championships, at least. The World Championships more so. But Spain have really made a habit out of coming very close. But
you find your niche,
Yeah.
If they're comfortable there, leave them be.
Exactly. And I think Denmark and France are very happy with them.
I'm sure they are.
With splitting the Olympics between them the last few years. Yeah.
One thing we always like to touch on when we're discussing these sports is the big players, and also kind of the level of professionalism we're looking at in the sport and how it sustains people's livelihoods. So is this a sport where the guys are playing it, well, guys and girls, whether the players are playing it full time? Are they going to sail away into the sunset at the end of their careers?
So no, I don't think they're making money comparable with soccer players, with footballers. I think it's more commensurate with sort of the kabaddi guys we spoke about, maybe top level rugby players. So earning about €250,000 a year, which is it's quite a bit of money to be earning, but it's not retire at 30 money. The one guy that really sort of caught my eye when I watched some of the Champions League earlier this year, the Barcelona player Dika Mem, who's big, I think 6'4", left-handed, and he's playing right back for Barcelona, and he's the captain, and he's incredible. Doing a little bit of research, a lot of the best paid players are at Paris Saint-Germain. There are two brothers, I think they're called Karabatic. So obviously quite a sort of Yugoslavian influence there. But both playing for Paris Saint-Germain and France, and they were the top paid players at about €250,000 a year. Maybe it's gone up a little bit. Maybe someone else has sort of taken over from them. The data I saw was a little bit old, but I think it was about 2023, 2022-ish.
It's good to know that PSG, by their success at many sports, not just in soccer. Well,
not much success in handball. They haven't won the Champions League. They made the final once. I think they were knocked out in the quarterfinals this year.
Okay. Well, in fairness, their football project's only recently come right.
Exactly.
So maybe it's a matter of when, not if.
Yeah, well, hopefully, and maybe they.
Well,
can...
not hopefully. We don't want money just to be buying championships.
No, that's true. But I think maybe if they get their act together, like with the football team, not that they stopped buying players, but they focused more on sort of French and Parisian players. So Dick Mem that I've just been speaking about from Barcelona is from Paris. So him going to Paris Saint-Germain is potentially something that could happen.
Sure.
I might have offended the whole Barcelona fan base, but yeah, that seems something that's logical with Paris Saint-Germain's football policy recently. Yeah, in terms of things to look forward to, the Champions League is obviously just finished. SC Magdeburg winning their fifth title. Barcelona lost in the semi-finals in that, but they were looking quite strong. In December, Germany and Netherlands are hosting the Women's World Championship. December 2025, obviously. And then in January 2026, Norway, Sweden, and Denmark are hosting the European Championships. So that is starts 16th of January next year, finishes on the 1st of February. Yeah, it's a similar sort of structure to the European Football Championship. So there's 6 groups of 4. The top sort of 2 of each progress, and then there's a second pool phase actually, and then semi-finals and a final. Yeah, Champions League is starting up again in September. I think those are really the big competitions to look forward to, and then obviously the Olympics will be 2028.
Yeah,
in LA.
Los Angeles. How does one watch this sport? Is it widely televised?
So I think it is televised on stuff like Discovery Plus.
Ah, okay. Yeah, they do have a lot of. I think Eurosports is part of their package, and they have a lot of alternative, or maybe what I would consider alternative sports.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's not often on outside of the Olympics. Obviously, then it will normally be on your mainstream sort of sports provider. But you might have to do a little bit of digging to find it wherever you are wanting to watch from.
I guess maybe.
But yeah, the highlights are often up on YouTube, and that is incredibly entertaining to watch some of these games. I watched a lot of the Champions League late stage games last year or last season, and that was incredibly entertaining. As incredible amount of skill these guys have, just throwing a ball and sort of being able to dummy a ball that is the size of a human head.
You really need to get away from this comparison.
Yeah, I know, but it's huge. The ball is really a big surprise to me. Okay, yeah. I think we've covered everything that we wanted to. Is anything else that you want to ask, Wes?
I think we briefly mentioned it earlier, but I wasn't entirely clear on it. Just one question. In terms of actual gameplay, we said that like possession is quite important, and there's the limit on how long you can, or the referee will give you the warning for slow play.
Yes.
Meaning it is obviously quite difficult to actually affect a turnover.
Yeah.
But how physical is the sport? Like, how do you actually tackle someone? How would you take the ball from them? Would you try slap it out of someone's hands? Do you have to make an interception? Do you need to rush them and they fumble it? Like,
yeah. So I think it's more to do with interceptions and then sort of rushing them and hoping for a final. So putting pressure on through sort of pressure, like pressing, basically. That's the thing about it in football. And then obviously missed shots would then result in a turnover.
Of course. Okay, often. But you can't take the ball out of someone's hands.
No, maybe you could, but you certainly can't tackle them. It's sort of a semi-contact sport, more in the vein of basketball or football than certainly rugby.
Okay. Yeah, well, I think that was the one thing that I needed clearing up. Thank you very much. That was most informative.
Yeah, well, thank you, Wes, and thank you for everyone listening. And join us next week for Oddballs.
Cheers.
Cheers.